can sue BP, and rightly so, for every mistake they've made, and they will pay for every mistake they've made. You can't sue the government when it gives out erroneous information and oil companies rely on it. Why? Because Congress has insulated the bureaucrats that work for the federal government from liability in lawsuit. So if the government gives out bad statistics and an oil company relies on it and something goes wrong, the oil company gets sued, not the government and not the bureaucrats that work for the government.
How does it feel to be standing up for BP?
I am not standing up for BP.
And standing against the government for BP. I mean, I know you're all anti-government.
I'm standing for the rule of law, and the rule of law should be that the government should not tell everybody how to run their business when the government is incompetent to tell them how to do so. And this is a perfect example of it. The decision as to where to drill should be made by those who would risk money and lose money if the drill went wrong, not by bureaucrats who didn't know what they were doing.
So we need fewer regulations, not more, on the oil industry.
We also need no liability caps so that the insurance company would be on the hook, and the insurance company would make sure the drilling was done properly and in the right place and all the safety factors are there. BP has no insurance company. Why? Because the federal government said your maximum liability is $75 million. Show us a bank account with $75 million and you don't need any insurance. If that stupid law hadn't been there, an insurance company would not have let BP drill where it did.
Wow.
As Judge Andrew Napolitano pointed out, in a capitalist society, the government would not have made a law with a cap on liability insurance, and therefore the free market would have dictated what the rules would be, and no insurance company in their right mind would have allowed BP drill where they drilled, because it would be too dangerous and too risky. And even if they did manage to get permission from the insurance companies, it would have been cleaned up immediately, because money would have been lost by the insurance company and BP. Blaming this spill on the free market and capitalism is like blaming our current economic, monetary, and currency crisis on the gold standard. It's ludicrous. America has been off the gold standard, and sadly, off of capitalism, since the turn of the 20th century. The correct word to describe the marriage of corporate interest and political power is corporatism, or even more accurately, fascism. For those who know history, Mussolini, the father of fascism, created the corporate state in fascist Italy, where big corporate enterprises were entrusted to state ownership and partnership. This is also a clear example of those that fall into the false left-right paradigm. Shepard Smith falls into the left side as he blames BP, the business, but not the government. Judge Andrew Napolitano, however, is an intelligent constitutionalist and does not fall into this trap. He knows that left and right are both opposite sides of the same coin of tyranny, and that had a strict interpretation of the Constitution been followed, this disaster never would have happened in the first place. By now, it's clear that the people at the top of the political, banking, and corporate elite had foreknowledge of this explosion. It is also evident that the White House, Goldman Sachs, and BP are all using this crisis to push through their political agenda of cap and trade. As Rahm Emanuel infamously said in 2008, never waste a good crisis.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before. I think America as a whole in 1973 and 1974, not just my view, but obviously the administration, missed the opportunity to deal with the energy crisis that was before us. For a long time, our entire energy policy came down to cheap oil. This is an opportunity, what used to be long-term problems, be they in the healthcare area, energy area, education area, fiscal area, tax area, regulatory reform area, things that we had postponed for too long that were long-term are now immediate and must be dealt with. And this crisis provides the opportunity for us, as I would say, the opportunity to do things that you could not do before. The good news, I suppose, if you want to see a silver lining, is the problems are big enough that they lend themselves to ideas from both parties for the solution.
But there's still more that we're not being told. The truth is that the oil spill is about 1,000,000 times worse than anyone in power is saying. Media outlets all over the country have tried to get access to public beaches, and BP is blocking them. Countless efforts to get access to public beaches and interview workers are being met with workers for the offshore giant BP telling reporters that they can't access the beach, and in some instances are being threatened with arrest by BP and in some cases the United States Coast Guard. The following are just 4 clips of many easily found on YouTube of media personnel trying to gain access but being blocked and threatened.
As you well know, there's been no shortage of criticism for BP the past 53 days since a busted oil well has been spewing millions of gallons of oil into the Gulf. But the same week the company denied accusations it was shielding its operations from the media, anchor Scott Walker ran into a beachfront barricade of sorts on Grand Isle.
Every security guard here has given the instructions to every single news crew. You can be with outside of 100 yards of the workers along the boom.
And who's saying that? Because nobody can tell me, unless you're the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, you're the Coast Guard, or you're the military, can you tell me where to go on this public beach?
I can tell you where to go because I'm employed to keep this beach safe. And right now, those are my instructions. I have to keep the workers safe as well.
I'm going to go and try and talk to a worker under the tent. Can I do that?
No.
He's on a break.
You are not allowed to interview any workers.
The workers can talk to the media, according to the BP CEO 2 days ago.
That
word still hasn't trickled down to you all?
We've already heard that one too.
Yeah.
What do you mean you've heard that one? It's true.
The email does not explicitly give you permission to do that.
There are quotes from Doug Suttles that say no one has been barred access to talk to the media, and that it's a misunderstanding, and the word hasn't trickled down to all the appropriate channels yet. That's what he said 2 days ago. So 2 days later, that word still hasn't trickled down.
The word has been, it's been briefed to us.
By whom? Who's briefing you all?
That's not important right now.
Well, if you're telling me that I can't do it, it's important that I know who's briefing you.
What's important right now is you cannot talk to the workers. You're interfering with their jobs right now.
If there's somebody on break, I'm interfering with his job?
Yes, you're interfering with his rest. Sir, you cannot talk to anybody there.
Can I yell from a distance?
No. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Sir, you cannot interview the workers.
So y'all have certain things y'all are instructed to do. We're working for who y'all employed by?
Talent Security, it's our insurance.
Well, that's
I can see that. I mean, who's employing Talent Security?
That I have no.
We've been instructed to wait for the supervisor.
That guy right down there who's a supervisor just said if they want to talk to me, they can. And now you're telling them not to talk to me.
No comment.
Are you all afraid to talk? Are they, I mean, do they intimidate you all? Are you afraid you're going to lose your jobs if you speak to the media?
Don't want to. Y'all don't have to say anything. All y'all have to say is, I do not want to be interviewed. I do not want to be interviewed.
Does anybody want to be interviewed?
No.
I just wanted the opportunity to ask to see if anybody wanted to talk to the media. And if you all say no, then I'll walk away. So nobody wants to talk. All right, I got you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for cleaning up the beach.
Now get this. 2 days ago, BP Chief Operations Officer Doug Suttles released a letter to all media outlets saying, in part, quote, recent media reports have suggested that individuals involved in the cleanup operation have been prohibited from speaking to the media, and this is simply untrue. BP has not and will not prevent anyone working in the cleanup operation from sharing his or her own experiences or opinions, end quote.
This wasn't just sheen. We were seeing heavy oil out there. This wasn't just tar balls. It shows you how quickly that oil showed up.
This video was shot by the local parish government in South Pass. When we tried to reach the beach, seen here and covered in oil, a boat of BP contractors with 2 Coast Guard officers on board told us to turn around under threat of arrest.
This is BP oil. It's not ours.
We spoke to Coast Guard officials today. They say they're looking into it. Katie?